But right now we have visitors in the studio, and joining us here today to talk about do I call this a brewery, a microbrewery, a nano brewery,
Technically, we will be a nano brewery, which is 3 barrels or less.
3 barrels or less. Okay. The voice you hear is that of Steve Irving, and Kate is here too.
Good morning.
Good morning. And they are preparing to go into business, hopefully in downtown Hopkinsville, over what period of time?
We're shooting for a spring opening in downtown Hopkinsville.
Okay. And this business will be?
It'll be Hopkinsville Brewing Company, which will be the city and the county's first craft beer microbrewery.
Okay, now for those of us who know beer by name but don't know all the ins and outs of it, explain craft beer.
Well, you have your traditional beer, such as the big beer business that you see in most package stores on the shelves. Craft beer is handmade. It is an art and a science. We take barley, malted barley, hops, yeast, and you go through a series of steps in a process which goes back thousands of years, and you end up with a tasty beverage that we all know and love, which is beer.
And where did the germ of this idea come from? When did you start tossing this idea around and saying, maybe this is something we could do?
Well, Steve is still active duty Army down at Fort Campbell. We actually spent the past few years out in Marine Corps Base Quantico in Virginia.
Okay.
Craft beer breweries are very big out in the East Coast. And he was also into home brewing, so we would spend our weekends visiting different breweries around the area. And one day he said to me, I think this is what I want to do when I retire. And I said, well, I've heard worse ideas.
What really plants the bug, too, is you begin brewing these beers at home, and you share it with friends and family. And then at a certain point, when you start to get good at it, folks say, this is not half bad. Have you ever thought of selling this?
Uh-huh.
And that plants the bug. And from there, that turns into a business plan, and it just snowballs from there.
Where it gets to the point where folks are saying, this is all right. This is, it's not just something you're doing for yourselves, for your home or for your family, but people are saying, if I might pay you something for this. So we could,
Yes.
you need to start looking at maybe a business.
And I think for us, it's more than just the beer itself, than enjoying a good pint of craft beer. It's about the environment and the experience and interacting with people. The Army took us all over the United States, from north to south, and we explored these different craft breweries. And what we found was these were community gathering places. Traditionally, they are. It's a place to go and interact with friends, family, and neighbors. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want to bring to downtown Hopkinsville and the surrounding region.
Okay.
And we thought it was just a perfect idea to bring to downtown Hopkinsville because downtown Hopkinsville could use this as a destination and attract more people to the area.
Well, you are in because the location, if I understand right, is on 5th Street.
Yes.
Okay. So you are in what John and I at some point christened the Boho district of downtown, the Bohemian district of downtown Hopkinsville, or Boho for short. So you're right down there with a lot of interesting smaller businesses in what I think is becoming a rejuvenated downtown area.
Absolutely.
Driving down the street the other day, I thought, downtown Hopkinsville is really looking good. The people who are putting forth the effort with these older buildings and the character that gives your city center, your downtown. Love that. And then when you have local people, locally invested with their businesses. Was the idea of going into business, now you'll be retired from the military, but is the idea of going into business on your own, being an entrepreneur, owner, operator, whatever, does that intimidate you in any way?
Not at all, because I'll tell you, first and foremost, I'm very passionate about the brewing process, and we are absolutely committed to bringing this to downtown Hopkinsville and the community. So that's what kind of fuels us, is the idea that come springtime, you can be sitting inside the tasting room at the corner of 5th and Main, or in our outdoor seating area, enjoying a pint of your favorite beer or a sampler flight, and just taking in the downtown environment with friends and family.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now you're utilizing a tool called Kickstarter if I understand that correct. And explain to
Yes.
me how that works.
Well, Kickstarter is a crowdfunding tool where people pledge their support. We set a goal of $35,000, and people from around the community, our friends from way back, our military friends, our families, our very understanding families, are helping to bring our idea to life. So you find a pledge amount that works for you, and you pick a rewards package. For instance, we've got glasses, we have T-shirts, we have bottle openers, we have growlers. You pledge your support and help bring our idea to life. And if we meet our goal, then everyone gets their rewards. If we don't meet our goal, then we get nothing and no one gets their rewards.
We've been asked by many folks, so why are you doing a Kickstarter? Why should I donate my support to you to start this business? And the reason is craft breweries by nature are extremely expensive to start up. The equipment alone gets into the six figures, anywhere from $150,000 up to $250,000 or $300,000. In addition to that, breweries, the buildings that you set them up in are extremely specialized and require special plumbing, electrical, drainage, floors, etc. To get this in an old building from the late 1800s or 1940s in downtown Hopkinsville, we're trying to create a call to action for the community and craft beer lovers near and far. We can't do it without your support. If you would like to enjoy a cold pint or a flight of craft beer this spring, then pledge your support to this Kickstarter.
I mean, I think it just sounds like fun. You could own a small piece of the action. I mean, by being in there and helping get things started. Almost like they say, you can be a lord or a lady in Scotland when you buy a piece of this castle or whatever. But that sounds like an exciting thing, just to be part of helping get something started. Now, you mentioned the Army has taken you all over the place. Now, where are each of you from originally? And how did you land in Hopkinsville?
I was born in St. Louis, and my dad was actually a defense contractor, so we moved all over the country. I'm prior service, and the Army brought me to Fort Campbell in 2003. Okay. And when Steve was still in flight school, I told him, you know what? I discovered this really cool town just north of Post, and I think I want to live here.
Okay. Now, did y'all meet in the military, or did you already know each other?
I joined the Army because of Steve.
Oh, okay.
It seemed like a good idea at the time, and I figured if he could do it, so could I.
Well, and your dad was a defense contractor, so I mean, that not unfamiliar territory at all. Now, what did you do in the Army?
I was an intelligence analyst.
Okay.
But that's all she can say.
Yes, I know. Well, I'll have to talk to you. I got to visit the U.S. Army. Well, John and I both gotten to visit the U.S. Army War College at Carlisle Barracks, and there were some intelligence analysts from... I have to think where they're from. Anyway, it's been a while, but it was very interesting. I discovered that if they ever moved a statue of Clausewitz on the first floor, I was never going to find where I was going again, because that was my stake around which I oriented myself to figure out where I was going in the building. You would not want me as a helicopter pilot, because I have no orientation skills at all. Now, and that's what you do, right?
I do, yep. I born and raised in Connecticut, joined the Army at the ripe age of 17.
Oh my gosh.
And served as an infantryman originally, and then came to find out that being a helicopter pilot is a better way to get around. So I've done that for the last few years.
Okay, what sort of helicopter?
I did fly the OH-58D Kiowa Warrior, which is a scout
observation helicopter.
It is, and I'll be transitioning to the Apache pretty soon.
Okay, I did learn that OH, AH, and UH. I did figure out what those stand for. Okay, so you've landed back in Hopkinsville, and how close is retirement?
A few years.
A few years yet. Okay. So you're just getting your plan laid out and running, and so it'll be a smooth transition.
And it's not just us. We have other folks involved. I have an assistant brewer, and we also have several folks lined up to serve as cicerones. A cicerone is a professional beer server.
A cicerone.
So we do have a team, and that team primarily is going to be all veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces.
Oh, heck.
So we're attempting to be a veteran-owned and operated local craft beer brewery. And the reason I think that's significant
Kentucky
is,
proud. Here we go.
That's right, is because of the close proximity of the 101st Airborne Division to Hopkinsville, and that tie between the military and the community there.
Well, I'm just thinking about another aviator we talked with a few months ago, Wade Ayala, who is out at the airport, our fixed space operator out at the airport. And that's one thing I've always enjoyed about Fort Campbell are the folks that it brings into the community from just all over, and it hopefully keeps us from getting. I don't know if I want to say hidebound is not the word, but it just exposes everybody to so much more, to different areas, to different things, to a different outlook or perspective, and it just helps our area grow, I think, and thrive. So
even a
delighted.
fat bald guy looks good in a flight suit. And guys in flight suits just look cool. I don't care. So,
Well, I'll tell you, that's one thing we did was yesterday we attended an agritourism meeting with the 4-H here in Hopkinsville, and we got to meet with a lot of the local farmers and bourbon distilleries in the area as well. And we discussed exactly that, how to bring more attention and more folks up to Hopkinsville to take part, to learn about the different crafts and the agriculture and attractions that are in the area. One thing that we wanted to offer was the craft beer that we make will be locally sourced. So our grain.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. How are you going to source your ingredients, if you will?
Our malted barley will come from local farmers. Our hops from local hops growers. And our yeast, unfortunately, we will actually harvest our own yeast and propagate that in a lab that we have in the building. And other adjuncts such as spices, fruit, blueberry from the farmers markets, that will all come from local farmers. And we intend on marketing just that. It'll essentially be from farm to pint.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was reading Jennifer Brown with the New Era had done a story with you about your Kickstarter campaign and about the property that you had acquired, and she talked about tasting blueberry something. I can't remember what it was.
It was a blueberry wheat ale.
Blueberry wheat ale. I love blueberries, so I have a feeling that will be on my list at some point.
We also just came up with a raspberry sour wit, which is interesting. It's got a little zest to it.
Huh.
I've been told I have a sour wit, but I don't know.
Well, I was told you were zesty, so I don't know.
Hey, let me say something. This is not that unusual, but Kickstarter is probably. But if you go to a lot of high-end restaurants, I know in Cincinnati and Nashville, two places that I have been to a lot, they will have bars set up where people will pay to donate to that bar, and so they'll have their own cabinet and so forth. So even high-end private places take advantage of that type thing, where you're contributing to the business, even though in that case you're getting a little cask or whatever for whatever drink you like to keep, and it's along the same lines to me.
Yes, and I'll tell you, with our Kickstarter program, it's not just a straight donation or support. We're giving back as well. We've created a series of 10 reward tiers. So whether it's $10, $20, $100, $500, you will get something back. It starts with something basic, such as some stickers that you can put on the back of your car to show your support for a local brewery, and it goes all the way up to T-shirts, hats, growlers, pint glasses, even catered private brewery parties that we will hold a party for you and 10 of your friends if you're able to gather enough group support.
Would a signed photo from me help any? I'd be glad to do it.
John, they're trying
I've
to
got
raise,
one of my finger
They're
on
trying
my
to raise
chin.
money, John. They're trying to raise money. If
Thank you
people are
guys for
interested,
being
what
here.
do they need to do?
Go to Kickstarter.com, search for Hopkinsville Brewing Company. You can also visit us on Facebook.com. It's Hopkinsville Brewing Company. And look at the site, check out the reward packages, click the green button, and please pledge as much support as you can.
All right. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you very much.
All right. It's 8:55, 5 minutes away from 9 o'clock, 47 degrees, still some fog out there.
Hi, I'm Eric.